Well, I wouldn't dream of putting words into President Trump's mouth, obviously, but I wonder if he'd tell Keir Starmer something like too little, too late on this proposal of his to clip the wings of the European Court of Human Rights, because he didn't mince his words about this yesterday, did he? You give him a state visit, you roll out the red carpet, you crawl, you blow smoke.
Has he looked at America, his own country, and the state of the US? But why should we pay attention to a lying sex offender, I mean, which he is, who's trying to sell out Ukraine? He paid, I know, I always like it because you're legally very sharp.
Of course.
He paid out money in a case he lost against a woman who said she was sexually abused by him.
Yeah, but he wasn't convicted in a criminal court.
No, that's why I call him a sex abuser, but he paid out money for abusing a woman on sex.
With no admission of liability.
Why are we listening to him? We daily see him rambling in the US.
Is Starmer listening? I mean, what would Starmer have made of that yesterday?
Look, this is the President of the United States, so we are going to listen to him, actually. Yeah. He is the most significant Western leader. He is the most powerful figure in the world.
Does he have a point?
I think he does. I think he does. And suddenly, the Prime Minister is saying that the European Convention, the European Court of Human Rights, has got to be reformed. Suddenly, I mean, for God's sake...
I love it, how British so-called patriots go weak at the knee for Trump and lap up his criticism.
I'm sorry...
No, we're not decaying. Yes, is the country troubled? Are there issues? Are there challenges? Yes. Yes, they are, in all countries, including the US. He should put his house in order first before he starts...
He's cracked
down on immigration in a big way, and that is one of his great successes, immigration.
And he's arresting innocent people and deporting people who are American citizens.
Does it underline a suspicion which many have had from the start with Trump, that there's no point sucking up to him? It doesn't actually get you anywhere. I mean, that speech yesterday, or not the speech, that interview yesterday, it must have been really embarrassing for Sir Keir Starmer. He's given everything that he's done to try and court Trump.
Mercurial is one word for him. You just don't know from one day to the next what he's going to say, where he's going to go.
What you find is flag-waving Nigel Farage, Kemi Badenoch, they'll lap up the words because it runs down.
It endorses what they're saying.
I mean, but you're quite right with Starmer, who's making that great effort to try and keep Trump as onside as possible, both on tariffs hurting the UK economy and issues such as Gaza and Ukraine. Well, you roll out the red carpet. You try not to contradict them, but each time you'll come back and abuse you in some way.
Absolutely right.
It's a terrible relationship.
He is absolutely right. We have lost control of migration and our borders in this country, and most of Europe have too. We've lost control.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. True. Yes, it is. We've got the National Audit Office says we do not know how many asylum seekers have vanished. Hang on, Kevin. The National Audit Office, an impartial organisation, every paper's got the story, we do not know how many asylum seekers have absconded and disappeared. We don't know how much it's costing us. It is chaos. We are in chaos over migration.
Net migration...
And Trump's right.
Net migration is about a quarter of what it was at the peak. It's come down.
Isn't that because the number of people immigrating to the country has been... diminished by the number of Brits leaving the country. Yeah, that's the reason. So actually, immigration is still very high.
When you talk,
but the number of Brits leaving is also high.
When you talk about Brits, they include British Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladesh. No, but
I'm not making that distinction.
But I
know. The point is, the immigration.
It's how it sounds. It's how it sounds in the debate.
But immigration is still very high.
Yeah, but people are going out. People are coming back. Net is the key figure, and that has plummeted. But most people think it's gone up because of all these front pages and all these debates,
but immigration is very high.
Very often.
Look, listen, Kevin.
They were going to smash the gangs. Stop the small boat. They didn't. They failed.
You can criticise President Trump for what he's saying, and it is an exaggerated view of what's happening in Europe. But the Prime Minister himself is concerned. He's worried that because the UK is not cracking down on the European Convention on Human Rights and the interpretation by judges, that the right is on the rise.
Susanna,
that is literally the headline in The Guardian today.
Maybe the Prime Minister should read the report out from an institute in the Faculty of Law of Oxford University a few months ago about how most stories in newspapers are wrong and are grossly distorted, and the fact that the European Convention on Human Rights is involved in a tiny fraction of cases. Yes, there's much of the system that is broken, which is why people are in hotels. The cases weren't handled quickly. You can see the report that is out.
So you're saying that what Starmer's saying won't make any real difference, even if he were to get his heart's desire and see the European Court of Human Rights judges restrained and constrained, it wouldn't make any difference.
It would make very little difference.
Okay.
It was not going to stop the boats, and it's not going to fix a system that is been allowed by his lot to decay.
Thousands of young men are coming into this country, some in their 20s and 30s. We don't know where they're from, what they do, and we do not know what's in their hearts. And we're seeing more and more of them being involved in vicious crimes against young women.
There are huge numbers.
More and more of it.
The majority of people come here to start a new life and work and have families.
But that's what the
economic migrants.
OK, so we've got two issues here. We've got the criminal element, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But you're right, we have economic migration. And that seems to be what the Prime Minister's alluding to. He says in this article, the current asylum framework was created for another era. You know, it's a bygone era, effectively, he's saying. We're in a world with mass mobility. Everyone's on the move. We will protect those fleeing war and terror, but the world has changed and asylum systems must change with it. Millions are on the move, not only because their lives are in danger, but because they want a better future. And if we fail to take account of this, we would fail the needs of genuine refugees and the communities that have been asked to absorb rapid change. What he seems to be saying is millions of people are coming because they want to live in the UK, because they feel like they're going to get a better life in the UK.
Touch.
Not necessarily because they're refugees or they're fleeing from torture, but is he suggesting they're using the European Convention on Human Rights in order to stay, whereas actually they're economic migrants? Because that's the suspicion amongst lots of voters, Kevin, and that's got to be tackled.
Yeah, and it's a suspicion that is ill-founded.
So you think the Prime Minister's wrong?
Yep, he's playing politics. Because he's got his two main opponents, both saying they will pull...
He's responding to reform, isn't he?
And the Conservatives, who both say they'll pull Britain out of the European Convention on Human Rights, that Britain was the driving force to establish.
55 years ago.
And it doesn't just have rights for migrants, as it can be suggested. It has rights
for us as well.
Like rape women, disabled people, all sorts. In fact, the Daily Mail took a case under the European Convention of Human Rights and won it against no-win, no-fee lawyers and success fees.
It's used and abused by human rights lawyers.
And let's talk about the serious crimes issue. If you commit serious crimes, you lose the right to stay. That principle is not extreme, it's common sense. That's also in the article. And the papers this morning have all got this absolutely horrific story about a girl of 15 years old ignored when she begged a passerby to help as she was dragged off to be raped by two Afghan asylum seekers.
In a public place?
They're both these asylum seekers, 17 years old.
I don't believe that, because we don't test them for ages. They're simple medical tests that are not intrusive. Look at the photographs of those boys. They are not 17.
So they don't have reliable documents which prove the age that they are.
And because one of them was the day before his so-called 17th birthday, we can't even deport him.
Because he pleaded guilty the day before.
Because he pleaded guilty, he did. It's being abused and exploited. Those boys are not 17, they're in their 20s.
What is incredibly disturbing about this case is that the girl herself managed to film what was happening to her, and this was presented to the court, and it is very distressing footage because she is screaming for help, and people aren't helping.
And the lawyer for one of the attackers says if the video was released to the public, there would be civil unrest.
It's absolutely horrific, as all rapes are.
They're not 17.
Well, we don't know how old they are. And their age is presumably accepted by the court in which they were tried.
There's no medical test, which they could do. Very simple.
The age isn't the issue. The age is they're rapists, and a woman is being raped. That is the case. And, of course, if it's Afghans, it gets in the newspapers. If all the rapists who are not and are white Britons and have been here for generations, they don't get any coverage.
What struck me reading...
That's why it begins to misrepresent the position.
We regularly report on the situation with rape trials, convictions in this country. The point, and the reason that we're reporting on this today is because the Prime Minister has said that we need to change the way that asylum seekers are treated under the ECHR in this country.
The majority of sexual offences in Britain are not committed by migrants proportionately.
What's striking about this? What's striking about this case is the brazen nature of it. No attempt to conceal what they were about to do.
They were back in
from the watching public,
back
from
in
a
the
group
same
of friends that she was with. They
nonchalantly wandering around.
They abducted her from a group of her friends. They took her away. It was quite clear what was about to happen, and they didn't care that they were being observed.
And I'm afraid the judge said in her summing up, she took into account they come from a different culture. Sorry, that's not acceptable if you come here. A medieval culture with a different view about men with women. That's what she said. I think that is an appalling thing for a judge to say.
Values and rights have to be universal.
Yes.
That includes protecting
women
and men from predators, sexual or otherwise.
I mean, you cannot say, well, I could do this back home.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can do it here.
Yeah.
It's
I take into account your culture.
And I agree with you about that judge's comment.
Appalling.
I was astonished to read it.
You couldn't do that back in Afghanistan.
Can we just come back?
Be killed.
Can we just come back to Donald Trump? Because it wasn't just Europe that he was having a go at yesterday. He was very personal about the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. He seems to have a thing about him. Let's have a look. You have to say, what's it got to do with him?
He's got a personal beef, hasn't he, with Sadiq Khan?
It goes all the way back to when his first term. Do you remember Sadiq Khan allowed up in the air those stupid balloons? What do they call those?
He'd attacked him before that. Look, I mean, I think horrible, vicious, nasty all applies to Donald Trump. And Sadiq Khan lives rent-free in Donald Trump's head.
He does seem to.
And it is because he's a Muslim. And Trump totally misrepresents Khan and the London we're in now. I mean, look, he's unhinged. Trump is unhinged. That's what we have to remember. That's the starting point.
So, Sir Sadiq Khan, as he is now, of course,
yes, sir.
has also done an interview with Politico in which he said the US president is obsessed with him. He says, I think one part that President Trump has got right is that London is becoming a different place. We are the greatest city in the world. I suspect that's one of the reasons why we have record numbers of Americans coming here to holiday, coming here to live, coming here to invest, or coming here to study.
That's a very good measured
response.
Reply. And I would have thought most American cities would love to have crime levels we have in London.
Could most American cities have Sadiq Khan? Can we give them to him and get rid of him?
Do you really mean that?
Far too long. He's on his third term. Sick to death of him.
Do you really mean that?
Yes,
Are you buying into Trump's?
Go off Trump. I've had enough of Sadiq
Trump's
Khan.
criticism.
We get rid of him. We've had him long enough.
Now, gentlemen, do we say 2 cheers or 3 cheers for Australia this morning?
Ah, yes.
I think it's fascinating.
And what they have done in terms of banning under-16s from using smartphones, basically.
What is the latest report suggesting that teenagers under the age of 16 are using smartphones for 4 hours a day?
And including late into the night.
I think that's quite low.
Including in
when I
bed,
look at my
late
time,
into the night, which begs the question, what are the parents doing?
I know.
Aren't the parents going into their kids' bedroom and saying, switch it off or give it to me?
Well,
I'm not cheering at all. I'm not giving 2 or 3. I don't think an outright ban is the way forward. And yes, you're going to put responsibility on social media companies on what they supply. And yes, we have to somehow change the culture, and sometimes you'll need the law to intervene as well as parents on what young people do with their smartphones. But I think taking them offline like that is not the answer.
Well, they can still use their phones, of course, but what they can't do is access social media accounts. And it's down to the social media companies to enforce this. I mean, any savvy under 16-year-old probably knows
how to get round it.
For how you eventually get onto social media. But I think it's a great idea. I think social media addiction is a real thing.
Addiction is, yes.
And I know it is because I feel it. I will be scrolling on my phone and I'll look up and I'll think, how long have I been scrolling? It's been about 5 minutes, and hours can go past where you're just lost in it. And I think to myself, I am, today, 55, and I have no control over how long I scroll. So if I was 15... I just wouldn't know how to self-regulate. You're so young and impressionable.
Where are they going? What are they seeing? What are they looking at?
Well, we know what they're
terrible images.
We know that in this country, I've said this before on this programme because it's true, primary school children, a large number of them have actually seen live beheadings
Terrible.
on their phones in the
Terrible.
playground. That's a fact. That's the kind of access that they're getting. I think the big question about Australia is not so much is it right or is it wrong, but will it work?
Yeah.
Well, that is the test.
Good,
we won't know for years.
Good that they're trying.
The
I think it's right that they're trying. I think it's right that they're trying. We shouldn't. These young children are losing their childhood. They're seeing so many wicked, terrible things that we never knew about when we were children.
Take the wicked, terrible things off the net.
But that's not going to happen, Kevin.
Look,
that's not going to happen.
If you can take Premier League goals off, if somebody puts them on without a licence, you can take off beheadings.
These
you can take off
social media companies are masters of the universe. They don't care.
I agree. It's playing a game of whack-a-mole, isn't it? I mean, just a few months ago, access to pornography sites was restricted to under 16s or under 18s. So fresh porn sites simply opened up that were unrestricted, and they can go there.
So the only way is to stop them.
But you ban completely. When they get 16, they're going to binge. It'll be worse.
You mean the Cliff Edge argument?
Well, they're a bit older. But they're a bit older then.
Or maybe they've learnt how to self-regulate and they'll have a better chance of using social media sensibly than I do.
You're banned. They're gonna know 16, 17, 18-year-olds who are doing it. Their adults will be on it. So your parents on social media, but you're not allowed to be on social media. You're gonna kick back against that. I just don't think this outright ban is the way forward. I'll watch it.
It's a brave thing for Australia
to try. I think it's really brave and radical.
I think
I wish I could ban it.
I think it's rather corny and authoritarian.
I hate the effect it has.
Yeah.
You know? I think it's going for a simple answer that won't work.
Well, that's unfortunately a very pessimistic view, and we will watch with interest, and we're debating it this morning. We've got a 17-year-old who would not be affected by this ban, but who basically says this is going to negatively affect teenagers, because I can imagine a lot of them thinking, I'm not going to have contact with my friends, I'm not going to have support groups, support networks on social media. I want to be up to date with the trends.
Yeah, they might learn to speak to each other and communicate in the old-fashioned way.
Go out and play sport.
Exactly, like we did when we were kids.
Have hobbies, real hobbies, do real things.
Look, one of the great things about the internet age and the connectivity is you involve people who live in rural areas and what we used to call the outback in Australia, don't quite call it now. They're all going to be absolutely isolated.
They've still got phones, by the way. They can still talk to each other. Although trying to persuade a teenager to make a phone call, I don't know if you've done that recently, but
or answer a phone.
or answer a phone call, that's right.
Can we talk about wearing masks? Downing Street has said that wearing a mask to prevent the spread of currently the flu. We have an extremely virulent version of the flu. NHS providers are saying that it's OK to wear masks, and perhaps we should. Kemi Badenoch, Tory leader, is saying we've kind of become addicted to them. Are we?
I thought
are they a barrier to social interaction now?
Didn't we discover that actually wearing a mask was pretty pointless during COVID? It was almost like a placebo effect.
No, it's right. We're talking here because there's going to be 5,000 to 8,000 people in hospital with flu. In England
Which would
alone.
be a record number. That was the prediction by the end of this week.
And so the mask wearing is recommended, whether you do it or not is up to you, but it's recommended if you've got a cold, you've got flu, or you've got symptoms of it, so you don't spread it around when you're in a public place. You say it has no impact.
No, I'm not saying, but that was the big debate, wasn't it?
If somebody's sneezing next to you, you prefer them to cover their mouth, use a handkerchief, and a mask is just that, actually.
Yeah.
It is covering your mouth or a handkerchief.
Andrew, the UK Health Security Agency said that masks continue to be a useful tool in limiting the spread of respiratory viruses in some situations. But I know what you mean. They did do some research to show that actually, even if you wear quite a closely fitting mask, the viruses just get out from the top and float through the air.
It doesn't stop at all. It doesn't seal you off.
Not at all.
I think older people, more vulnerable people, would be grateful.
I'm not agreeing with Kemi Badenoch here. I'm just sceptical about the purpose of it. What we should be saying to people is, you can get the jab. Go and get the flu vaccine.
You've just got time before Christmas.
Yeah. And you can go to a pharmacy and get one.
Yeah. Now, we've also just got time to talk about our 1 million minutes campaign to help end loneliness. Seen more than 110 million minutes pledged so far. The campaign is simple, of course. We don't ask for a penny from your pocket, just your time, which is really valuable to volunteer to help people feel less alone. And if you have been inspired by the amazing stories that we've been telling on this programme, just visit our website. You can visit itv.com/1 million minutes, or you can scan this QR code on the screen
Which
now.
I always point in the wrong direction. Yeah, there we go, that's right.
Luckily, the viewers can see it.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't.
We've obviously, as you'll know if you've been watching the show in the last couple of weeks, we've teamed up with some very famous faces, including our very own Charlotte.
Yeah.
Charlotte Hawkins, who volunteered her time to have a cuppa and a chat with strangers. What kind of conversations did you have and where did you do it?
Oh, I absolutely loved this. We did it at St Pancras Station. So we just chatted to some people that walked past, just how their day was going, how they were feeling, what they were up to, where they were off to.
It was gobsmacked to see you there.
It was really quite
What did they ask you?
Though.
What's Richard Madeley really like?
No, I asked them all the questions, actually, and just found out more about their lives. And, you know, you were talking about phones and people sort of with their heads on their phones the whole time. Sometimes, you know, it's conversations, isn't it, that are the victim of that actually we don't have chats to people anymore. And I was really surprised by just how much people are happy to open up when you just sit and say, how are you today? You know, how are things? What are you up to?
Yeah.
What's on your mind? You know, what's going on? And we had some really lovely conversations, actually. It was really a special thing to do. And what I found so lovely was just, I think, how grateful they were just to sit and have a chat.
How long were you talking for?
For quite a while, actually. I mean, I like a chat. So
I know.
It was nice to have the opportunity to sit down and just have a few conversations with people. And sometimes, you know, it strikes you, doesn't it, that for those people who are suffering loneliness, who are sort of, you know, maybe a bit more isolated, that sometimes it's just that little chat in the supermarket or a few words here or there that actually make a real difference. I'm always chatting to people in the supermarket, so I don't know why, but I think there's something really lovely about having those connections with people, whether it's like, oh, you know, where's the butter or something like that, but actually it's just having a reason to then reach out to people, which I think is a good thing to do.
Well, you're easy to talk to, so I'm sure all those people had a lovely time with you. And Dame Barbara Windsor's widower, Scott Mitchell, was also there. And he joins us after 8 this morning to tell us more about 1 million minutes. It's called a tea time moment, and it's wonderful. And as we've been talking, we've had another 1 million minutes pledged. It's wonderful, wonderful charities involved in our campaign, and you are all wonderful for pledging your time. Who would you most like to talk to if you had a chance to sit down and chat with somebody? Are you chatty sort of people when you're out and about, Andrew? Do people come up to you and talk to you about pieces that you've written or opinions?
Or shout at me about Kevin Maguire.
Do they?
They normally say, is he as bad as in real life as he is on... I say, yes, he is, actually.
I bet they ask, when they see you out and about, I bet they say, are you really actually friends?
They do ask
I get,
and it's true you are, right?
We are, mate.
Yeah. Well, you can disagree without being disagreeable all the time with somebody else. Other people ask why I don't hit him. How I put with him.
Why do you always have to bring
I'm just telling you.
Down?
Isn't it amazing?
Susanna, I just have to be honest. I mean,
they
do. They
people
say,
do not ask
you.
Do you not feel like hitting?
No,
charming,
they do.
Isn't it?
They
Isn't
do.
that charming?
How long have you two been doing this on this show now?
8, 9, 10 years.
Since the beginning.
I know.
Well,
Pretty much.
Yeah, and not for much longer,
We
sadly.
first got paired, Susanna, on BBC.
With you?
Arrival breakfast show.
With
when you were on with Bill Turnbull.
We did.
We were first.
lovely
The late Bill Turnbull.
Yeah. And then you moved to Salford, so we stopped doing it because it's too far to go.
Yeah.
You know,
And then
there's
we came here.
trains between London and Manchester.
Yeah,
It's amazing how easily you can get there.
Too expensive. They're supposed to run on time under Labour. They
gets a
don't.
nosebleed north of Milton Keynes. It's just, oh, no. I got him to come to Sunderland once. We got on the metro at Newcastle. We got gates, and a bloke got on with it was about 11 in the morning with a load of cans and no teeth. He looked terrified.
He thought he was in the outback.
Yeah.
He actually said, hello, Tory boy, very nice to meet you. That's what he said.
Well, we love talking to you every morning. Thank you so much. And
See you later.